Good afternoon, today we have a premium review on the Russian P-63 C-5. Now I know it's an 8-year-old event vehicle, but, well, I did promise a review of it because, well, I'm not going to just let this thing sit around after I got it out of the SL crates, am I? So, before we begin, as per usual, in the description below there's going to be a couple of timestamps, and if you wish to skip ahead to the Hangar section overview where we will discuss the vehicle in detail, or you want to skip ahead to the gameplay, please do feel free to do so. Without further ado, let's get into the review of the Russian P-63 C-5. So this aircraft actually originates from a time when I was very new to the game. It came in a winter event back in 2015, and I didn't even try because I was very new to the game. I'd only been playing the game about 6, 7 months at the time. And I saw the challenges for this plane. I was like, I barely have the P-39s as it is. I'm not going to go for it. And, well, I never did. So this plane disappeared into the history books for me, unfortunately. But obviously, as we know, the SL crates, I was very fortunate to get this and the P-40C. Which, trust me, when the P-40C dropped, I was already gobsmacked. And then 60... How many crates was it later? 65 crates later, I get this. Certainly puts it into perspective, doesn't it? So now let's get into and let's discuss. Well, before I do, you can't actually get this aircraft anymore, but well, you kind of guessed that. You can only really get it out of the SL grades. But yeah, that's pretty much summarising this plane in a nutshell. So let's get into the weaponry, armour, and of course the performance of the aircraft. So I'll start out with the performance because a lot of people will probably think, oh, it's probably got better performance than the American P-63 C-5. No. They share the same engine, same characteristics, same performance data, etc. There is no difference between this and the US one in terms of its raw performance. There's one difference in terms of its weaponry, but we'll get into that. Overall, though, the performance is very good, the climb rate is extremely good, and its overall handling and performance in general is really, really nice. And obviously having the quad 50s really does help its burst mass, because trust me, I've not long recorded a video on the Prishkin's P-39, and trust me, having the burst mass, or the lack of burst mass, especially with the half AP, half HE bollocks, yeah, this is not exactly great, but this plane definitely makes up for that having the wing-mounted 50s. In terms of the belts, of course, this is something where we have to go, yeah, this can't be changed, and this pisses me off, and I'm sure it pisses a lot of people off, but that's just unfortunately what it is. As for the 12.7s, I would recommend running the uni belt because these tend to set a lot more fires, and this is just generally what I look for. But yeah, that's pretty much what I look for in terms of the performance and the weaponry. I just want this plane to be really good, and it is. But obviously, with the 37 misbehaving, and obviously with it having a AP round it never should have, it's kind of a weird one. And it even says in the wiki page of this plane that it never had the AP, so I don't know why it has it. So going back to the performance, as I say, the plane's performance at low altitude is really good. It really does get up to speed quite well. High altitudes can be a little bit of more of an interesting one, but obviously with it being a King Cobra, you do obviously have a better engine for higher altitude, as this has a supercharger. Trust me, you will feel the difference but compared to a regular P-39. Now, of course, this aircraft, unlike the American one, is actually rank 4, so I've been using this to do some of the marker distinctions in the recent winter event, and trust me, this thing blows through it like a hot knife through butter, because this plane is just so good. Now, of course, it's not the top dog of 4.0, there are definitely better planes than it, but with the performance it has, the firepower it has, it can definitely do a lot of work in that regard. But of course, the 37 is slightly different to the P-39, so you do get more ammunition, and of course, you get more chance of hitting someone with a 37mm HE. So let's move on to the final thing, which is the one difference between the P-63 C-5 in the Russian tech tree and the American one. Now, for some reason, it has a American bomb module, which doesn't make sense, because it doesn't use American bombs, it uses Russian bombs. It can carry 3 250 kilogram bombs, all of which drop singles, which is very useful for tank RB. I've not tried this thing in 10 RB, but I would imagine it's actually pretty good there. Definitely need to cook that up at some point, like a 4.0, 4.3 Russian lineup, which uses this plane. Definitely think it could do a lot of work, and, well, hopefully it should, but still. But yeah, that pretty much summarizes the weaponry, performance, and the capabilities of this aircraft. It's really solid, and like I say, if you played the American one, this is definitely right up your street, and is really good. And being on Russian teams, backed up by some really good Russian planes, this thing can do a lot of work. But anyway, let's jump into the replay, because unfortunately it is a replay, but even so, that's just what happens when you don't record every match, and let's get into it. See you shortly. And welcome to the gameplay. I've skipped ahead a few minutes, obviously, as we're climbing in and getting involved in everything. And as you can tell, this isn't looking too great. I'll quickly open this so you can get an idea. We already have 2 bombers going down. We've already got 1 teammate dead. And there's going to be many more after this. And it's going to be a hard one, unfortunately. But this plane, as I say, has the performance to get it done. So as you can see, there is a shed load of enemy planes over here attacking this PE-8. And, well, if there's one thing I need to do, it's do the infamous thin the herd. Because, trust me, this enemy team was like a herd of rampaging bulls. And, well, I would have made a Pokemon joke, but I don't think many people are going to get it. But I was going to say a herd of rampaging Tauros, but, well, only like 2% of you get that joke because you Googled it. So yeah, this is going to be a hard match, and this is going to put the P-63 for its paces. And don't worry, this thing can perfectly handle itself. Now, starting off, the team is actually going to take out some of the more important aircraft, like the Zeros and the stuff like the 109s, which is definitely something that will help me out. But obviously, the harder stuff, like the Typhoons and things like that, they're going to be coming later. Unlike him. Kill number 1. Same with him. Kill number 2. Perfect bit of baiting from my teammates there. Nice easy kills. And obviously the head on there, that was mostly luck. But that's what happens when the first round is HE. So, pretty useful. This J-21 took a crit earlier on. But it wasn't enough for the job. So, I finished him up and made sure. Yak 3 comes in there to lend me a hand, takes out the Zero rather nicely. And, well, we've pretty much cleared out all the low altitude threats. Because, well, I'm not just going to leave my team to handle everything themselves, because it's not really fair on them, and plus, they need the backup. So here comes some of the more high altitude aircraft. They've obviously come in from after dealing with that bomber earlier on. And now we've got a Spitfire and a Focke-Wulf 190 coming in. Now, I'm not going to outrun this Spitfire. There's simply no way. It's got to dive on us, and most importantly, it turns better than us. And it's a Mark 9 as well, so that's going to be really difficult. Unless he cocks up and does that, which is exactly what he does. So this is where I'm having to keep my head on the swivel, because obviously I know the Typhoon's in the area. But this is where the 190 pilot, for some reason, it just completely cocks this up. He could have very easily given me a hard time. But he just didn't. And well, 37 straight to the fuselage, and his wings snap like a old piece of Lego. Very nice, that's for sure. Kill number 4. But yeah, like I said, this thing is not obviously more powerful than an American P-63 C-5, but the fact is, if you're not stuck on USA teams, like I am, this thing really is a bloody nose to the US teams. And, well, I've had a lot of success flying this plane. It's been very nice to fly, it's been very nice to own, and people just think it's an A5 and they'll try and play it like it's an A5, like try and outstall it, but with the extra engine power this thing has compared to the regular A5, this is something where you can go, yeah, you can do a lot. That poor Dora pilot was far too tunnel visioned and made it nice easy for us to grab our ace. Unfortunately, that Dora pilot just could not extend given the time frame, and the poor sod didn't see it come until it was too late. He tried to maneuver, but Doras at low speeds are not exactly the most favourable. Especially when you don't see the plane that's attacking you coming in. this is where I decide to break off from the match and get ourselves a couple of bots, because, well, we've got plenty of time, we've got quite a bit of ammo left, so let's get to it. Now, it's important to know that the nose cowling guns will run out first before the wing guns. The wing guns have around 50 more rounds than the nose cowling guns. That can be a pain if you're running a high convergence, so make sure to consider that when setting up your plane. If, of course, you're flying the US one, because not everyone and their mothers will be having this plane anytime soon. But the advantage of having 58 shots of cannon ammo is you can just shoot a few rounds at an SU-6 and get that done. BB-10 comes in for a head-on. I'm not taking a head-on with a VB-10 because that thing has 4 20mm cannons. And the one thing I will do is I will gladly engage in a maneuvering fight with him. Get some shots in, don't really do any critical damage, but obviously with an A7M in the area, I need to clean this guy up fast. Which the 50 cals perfectly do. Straight through the fuselage of the aircraft and takes out the VB-10's pilot. That's kill number 6. Unfortunately, as I'm going to load up here, as you can see, it's down to me, a Thunderbolt who is going after bots as well, and a B-17 Flying Fortress. The P-47 is going to be somewhat helpful, but not the most useful. I think he dies to a bot if memory serves. But as you can see there, we don't have a lot of ammo left. Wing guns are low on ammo, the cowling guns are pretty much almost out. The 37 still has a lot going for it, but, well, that's a 37mm, it's not exactly going to be the most efficient. And, yeah, this isn't looking good for us. That's when the P-47 hits the Su-6. I thought he got shot down by it. Turns out he rams it. Yeah. In terms of the enemy team left, though, it's just me and the A7M that can really put up a fight. The A7M is, of course, a highly dangerous aircraft, and it's one of the most dangerous aircraft you can run into in this thing. Because it does have a lot of good metrics, which can definitely give you a hard time. In some cases, exceed. He takes a 37 like a champ and loses half his tail, but it's still an A7M at the end of the day. So it's got insane lift, insane turn, even with half a tail, to the point where not even I can outturn him with that damage. I also get some hits in on his oil system, which was very helpful, but of course, with it being a A7M, it can run for quite some time before the engine starts to conk out from lack of oil, because Japanese engines are pretty used to running on low oil. I had to go there, didn't I? Of course, we did get the assist on that bot earlier on, which does give us some more points, but this was actually during star number 2, I think? Was it star 2 or star 1? I think it was star 2. And this was the first match that I'd really gotten into the stride of this plane, because it had been a while since I'd flown a King Cobra. Well, let's put it this way, this plane definitely earned its respect. Fire a couple shots, don't really get anything. The 50s are pretty much out of ammo at this point. We're only talking about 30 rounds left. I pitched the A7 up into the turn, used my landing flaps for a brief moment, but he's turning away to try and run, which, well, that's not going to end well for him. Set a fire with the last of my 50 cal ammo, and the 37 ends it in a beautiful fashion. What more can I say? Well, there you go. That's what this plane can definitely do if you leave it unattended and you don't respect it. Obviously, don't expect to add this thing to your hangar anytime soon. It was pure luck that I got this thing. But next up, I want the Russian A10 Gaijin. Give me it. I will certainly make it work. But yeah, this plane is absolute, like, mayhem, let's put it that way. If you're not stuck on a USA team and you're facing a USA team, let's put it this way. If I was on the enemy team and it was me and that A7, we would have cleaned house, just the two of us. It was that easy. And we would have definitely had a blast doing it. But unfortunately for this poor A7 pilot, I was on the enemy team. But anyway, I'm going to leave you all to it for today. Really hope you enjoyed seeing the P-63 C-5 as part of the Russian tech tree reviewed. Obviously, I did promise this. Next up will be the P-40C when it comes to the well, the vehicles that I need to do. But of course, with a long list of premium reviews and re-reviews to do, yeah, this might take a while to get through the list. But, well, given how rare this plane is, people want to see the review for this thing, so I decided to get this one done first. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to leave you all to it for today, and I will see you all on the next one.